Now when the lord of the vineyard heard what had happened to the son of the administrator, what do you think he did? They replied to him, he probably had the villains punished and banished and turned his vineyard over to the vine dressers who paid his lease at the proper time, and surely he turned over the inheritance to the administrator's son in advance. Jmmanuel spoke to them, you have recognized the meaning, and you have also read it in the scriptures. The stone that the builders threw away became the cornerstone. Therefore I tell you, I am like the son of the administrator of the vineyard, and you are like the vine dressers that lease the vineyard. My teachings truly are not foreign to you, and you are well acquainted with them, for they have already been given, handed down, and made known to you by the prophets. But if you disregard, falsify and interpret them to your advantage, you are also calling me a liar. Thereby you also call God a liar, upon whose resolve I was begotten by one of his kind and stand before you as a prophet. Therefore I say to you, peace and joy shall be taken from you and your people for all eternity, and all shall be given to a people who bring forth their fruits. If you disregard and trample on all the commandments of God, who is the ruler over this and the two other human lineages in the north and the east, you shall be disregarded and trampled upon for all time. The burden of the Israelite people will be like a heavy stone of the 7 great ages. Whosoever falls upon this stone will be smashed to pieces, and whosoever it falls upon will be crushed whole. And when the chief priests and Pharisees heard what he had said, they understood he cursed them and the Israelite people for all future time. And they conspired on how they could seize him, but they were afraid of the people, who believed him to be a prophet. Chapter 23. Tax money. When the Pharisees held counsel on how they could snare Jmmanuel in his speech, they sent their followers to him, including some of Herod's people. They then said, Master, we know that you are truthful and teach the way of the laws rightly, and don't inquire about anyone, since you do not care about people's reputations, but only about the laws of God and, in fact, the laws of creation. Therefore, tell us your opinion. Is it right to pay tax to the emperor or not? But Jmmanuel sensed their malice and said, You deceivers, hypocrites and swindlers, how low in intelligence and understanding are you that you want to tempt me in such a sick and foolish manner? Show me a tax coin so that I can heal you from your sick folly. And so they gave him a denarius. And he said to them, Whose image and whose inscription are on this coin? They replied, They are the emperor's. He then said to them, Give therefore to the emperor what is the emperor's, and give to God what is God's, and give to creation what is creation's. Yet beware and know that God and the emperor are men above whom is the omnipotence of creation, to which you must give the highest praise. For although God is indeed ruler over humankind and the emperor is indeed ruler over peoples, above them stands creation as the highest authority, to which they are subordinate in the law, as is every human being and all life. When they heard this they were astonished, left him alone and went away. Rebirth. On the same day the Sadducees, who hold the opinion there is no reincarnation, came to him. They asked him, Master, Moses has said, when a man dies and has no children, his brother shall take the widow as his wife and begat descendants for his brother. Once there were 7 brothers among us. The first one was married and died, and because he had no descendants he left his wife to his brother, and so did the second and the third, until the 7th. At last the woman also died. Now you teach there is a renewed life. Whose wife will she be among the 7 in the new life? For she was the wife to all of them. Jmmanuel, however, answered, saying, You are mistaken and do not know the unadulterated scriptures of the elders, nor do you know the laws of creation. Truly, I say to you, Moses never gave this commandment, but he gave the commandment that a brother should take his brother's wife to himself in honor, so if one died the other would take care of the widow of his brother. How is it possible for a brother to begot descendants for his brother, since everyone's seed is different? In the next incarnation they all will be strangers because they will not recognize each other. Therefore, no law says the wife then belongs to this one or that one. In each new life the person determines for himself whom he wishes to marry. Thus he can marry whoever is not spoken for. Take heed of the laws of creation, which teach that in a new life people do not remember their former lives. Thus your question is superfluous. At this point it is only the prophets who remember former lives, since they follow the laws of creation and therefore live in wisdom. But since you and the Israelite people will continue to live in piercing darkness for an extended period, cognizance and wisdom of the spirit and of the consciousness will remain hidden from you for a long time. Other peoples will advance beyond you and will evolve greatly in spirit and consciousness, and will follow the laws of creation. Therefore, other peoples will be superior to you in spirit and in consciousness and gather great wisdom, so that many among them will soon be like the prophets and have recollections about their former lives. But you and the Israelite people shall remain poor in consciousness, and thus drift in piercing darkness. To wit, whoever incurs punishment shall also endure it. When the people heard that, they were aghast and afraid. The greatest commandment. But when the Pharisees heard that Jmmanuel had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered and deliberated. And one among them, a scribe, tested him by asking, Jmmanuel, which is the foremost commandment in the law? Jmmanuel asked in return, whose law are you thinking of? The law of the emperor, or are you thinking of the law of God, or are you thinking of the law of creation? The scribe said, I am thinking of the laws of all three. But Jmmanuel said, the highest directive in the law of creation is this: achieve the wisdom of knowledge, so that you may wisely follow the laws of creation. But the highest commandment of the law of God is this: you shall honor God as the ruler of the three human lineages and obey his laws, for he is their king of wisdom and a good and just counselor. And the highest command of the laws of the emperor is this: you shall be obedient to the emperor, follow his laws and give to him the tithe, because he is the ruler over the people and their guardian and protector. These are the foremost and greatest commandments in the laws of the three, as applied to their categories. But the other directive, equal to the first, is this: you shall consider only creation as omnipotent, for it alone is constant in all things and therein is timeless. The emperor and God are transitory, but creation is eternal. Upon these two directives depend the entire law and the prophets. The laws of God and those of the emperor are human laws and are intended to maintain law and order among the people. But the laws of creation are the laws of life and the spirit and, therefore, they are eternal and constant. Likewise eternal is a person's spirit, which is a tiny fragment of creation spirit, for how could creation itself ever cease to be? Hence, when a person dies, their spirit lives on and leaves this side of existence for the other side, where it continues to gather the wisdom of knowledge.